The spoon proves mightier than the bars and supposedly escape-proofed Alcatraz prison. The men the walls couldn't
It's
hold
Alcatraz's greatest mystery. What happened to these men? Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, Clarence and John, bank robbers and escape artists. One night in June 1962, they busted out of the rock and dropped off the face of the earth.
Whatever their fate, the three convicts have apparently accomplished a feat that many have tried with no success.
The authorities presume the three drowned, but the myth says they got away clean on a homemade raft. 40 years later, Jamie and Adam aim to prove it might have happened.
Well, you know, Adam, we're based in San Francisco doing a show about myths, so obviously we have to tackle the myth about the escape from Alcatraz.
That three prisoners in 1962 built a raft out of raincoats and got off the island?
Yeah. Did they actually do it? Was it successful? Where did they go?
America's worst were caged in Alcatraz's 9x5 cells, cold as stone, perched high above the currents that chain the island. Officially, no one ever escaped and lived to tell, though in its 29 years, 34 prisoners tried, and as many as 11 died in the attempt. Adam and Jamie will follow the most famous escape attempt of all. It began here, in these cells.
They painstakingly fashioned dummies of plaster with hair of paintbrush bristles to stand in for them during cell check, while they covered an escape hole with a cardboard grill. All of this was within easy visual range of the guards in the gun galleries.
Alcatraz had begun to crumble. Morris and the Anglins were all able to chip through ventilation grills using spoons.
I believe that this one is a Mythbusters special, so you feel like squirming through the hole?
Sure, why not? You think you'll fit?
I think I'll fit. I'm not so sure about you.
Let the breakout begin.
I don't know.
Seems beer and fast food wasn't on the menu at Alcatraz. Incredibly, the escapees found themselves in an empty service shaft.
You know, Jamie, note to myself, if I'm ever designing a prison, I don't think I would ever design it with a huge, secret, unmonitored walkway behind every cell.
Leaving dummies behind in their beds, night after night, the plotters climbed undetected into this service corridor.
I think I tweaked my back.
From there, they climbed the pipe's 3 floors to the cell block roof.
This is where it all happened. This is actually where our story begins, Jamie. This is where they got to with all their equipment and actually built the rafts over a period of months.
Prisoner Alan West was in on the plot. He told the FBI the trio had managed to steal more than 50 raincoats and, undetected up on that rooftop, turned them into a pontoon raft.
You whisper and everybody can hear it. You can't like drop a single bolt or nail. You can't kick a piece of wood without everybody on the cell blocks hearing you do it. Imagine that every night for months in pitch black.
The night they were finally ready, the three broke out through this vent onto the rooftop, then climbed 50 feet down to the ground.
You know, they went down about here. The original pipe's been removed, but we do know that they went across underneath the water tower and down to the shore on the side of the powerhouse over there. It's a lot of distance to cover in the middle of the night with all that equipment, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
The swirling tidal currents around Alcatraz were more feared than any wall. But at the water's edge, Morris and the Anglin brothers pumped up their raft, jumped in, and disappeared.
The escape triggered the greatest manhunt in San Francisco's history, as agents of the FBI, Coast Guardsmen, Highway Patrol, sheriff's deputies, and local police join in the search.
Alan West told the FBI the plan was to paddle the raft north to Angel Island, then onto the mainland. It seems too simple an end. Frank Morris was no fool. He spent his life in and out of reform schools and prisons. But he also happened to have an IQ of 133. He knew how to escape, and he must have known about the dangers of the bay.
So you think they were clever enough to have counted on the tides, using them to their advantage?
Well, they were clever about the whole thing from the get-go, like, how they got the materials in the first place, where they assembled it, right under the nose of the guards. It was all very well planned out. So it's only logical to assume that they gave a fair amount of thought to the currents as well.
Maybe Morris figured a way to ride the feared tides to freedom.
It does look like it's more aggressive on this side.
He could watch the ebb and flow and plan his route for months. The Mythbusters don't have that long, but they do know a shortcut.
Joe, grab onto the pylon. Come on. Oof.
The Bay model was built in the mid-50s to test the environmental impact of a proposed development in San Francisco Bay. It's a perfect scale model covering 2 acres and replicates a full day's tidal movements in just under 15 minutes.
If we took a small model boat and put this in here at Strategic Point, would it actually tell us what would happen to that boat in the currents?
I think that it would. Up until the year 2000, it was primarily a scientific research and engineering facility where many, many experiments from A to Z were conducted daily. And I think it replicates very accurately the tides, currents, motions of the bay.
The guys know the high tide had just turned when the escapees hit the water.
I'll just wait for the signal.
In the compressed time of the model, that's due in about 2 minutes.
Oh, we're good. Drop it. Nicely done.
Remember, the myth says Morris and the Anglins were heading north to Angel Island. The current tells a different story. The raft is heading west in a hurry.
We're escaping Alcatraz at Mach 1.
No wonder they didn't find them. They're probably in Japan by now.
Stand by, Jamie.
Okay.
Release it, Jamie.
The same thing happens every time on this tide.
There they go. Now the current catches them.
The raft is always washed west to the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's doubtful the escapees could paddle against it for long.
Basically, there's no way, I think, they'd make it to Angel Island, though.
The guys think Morris was smart enough to work that out. So, despite what they told other prisoners, maybe Angel Island was never in the plan at all.
I think they actually took advantage of the currents and got on them as a like a river headed towards the Golden Gate Bridge, and specifically the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge, where they could easily make it to shore.
The Mythbusters have hatched a new theory and a new plan. Forget Angel Island. They're going to see if they can build a raft and paddle across the tide to reach land around the Marin headlands.
Jamie, what do you think our chances of success are?
100%.
100%?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
No doubt about it. We can pretty well count on getting very, very cold.
Jamie sounds like he's getting cold feet.